Alright, let's take a look at that. So, I think this is first lap. I did first lap here. I tried second lap, it felt fine, but first lap I guess worked out too. So, coming to the lap here, you just want to drive on the outside. It doesn't matter how slow you go out here. You can just kind of keep your lefts on this seam right here, let the car even slide up a bit, but we want to be turned back down towards the yellow line by the time we get to pit entry here. So you can see I'm turning down the hill by pit entry and I'm cutting down all the way, and the whole point of this is so that I can unload my wheel and hit the gas earlier, because if we stay by the wall the whole time, we can't get the gas to full throttle this early. So we really have to just come down the track like this, get the wheel straightened out early, get the gas going. All right, so going into turn one, I do my short tracking braking technique, which is get instantly to 40 to 50%, and then as we start turning our steering wheel, we lower our brake. So you see how as my wheel stays straight, I'm on the brake, and then as I turn the wheel more, it goes less and less until it finally ends at about a 10 to 20% brake as I'm really turning the wheel, really cranking it, aiming for this first seam right here, left side's on the seam, and then I want to get early onto half throttle. So as soon as I land on the seam here, I turn the wheel extra for a brief moment and then get on the throttle. This is just to ensure that I don't slide all the way up the track instantly. So we'll take a look at that one more time because this is very important. Half brake, trail it down, get to the seam, crank the wheel a little extra, and then get on the throttle to half. And then you'll notice that even though I got on the throttle to half, it's going to be coming down the hill to the yellow line. If it's not coming down the hill to the yellow line, then that means you needed to brake for longer. Okay, so you see I kind of make the late apex here. Again, we want to straighten out the wheel as early as possible. Even though I'm not pointed straight off the corner, I'm straight enough so I can go full throttle and let the car rotate off the corner on its own. So one more time from the throttle point. We pick up the throttle at the seam. If it's not coming down the hill, then it was too early. We want to bring it all the way down the yellow line so that we can straighten out the wheel as early as possible and then bring it off. Turn 3 and 4 are going to drive very similarly. I think I approach these corners the exact same way. Okay, so once again, not quite as much brake here. I probably could have driven it a little deeper and been a little more aggressive. The wheels don't lock up until 40 or 50, but this also shows you don't lose a ton by not hitting that 40% brake. So if you really just want to drag at the 25%, that's fine too. It really doesn't lose much. So I'm just dragging the whole way, and then as you see, lowering the brake as I turn the wheel more. And then once I get that little extra turn to make sure I stick to the seam, pick up half throttle. Once again, car comes down to the yellow line. If you are not picking, if the car does not come down to the yellow line as you pick up the throttle, it was too early of a throttle point. Okay, very important. That's how you know. And you just have to find that perfect point where the car still comes down the hill, even though you're picking up the throttle earlier or as early as you can. And then from there, it's just straightening out the wheel and driving off the corner. One thing to note about coming off the corner is that the more that you raise your gas, the more wheel input that you have, the more likely you are to spin the rear tires, spin out. So I'm going to talk about that in long run too, but you can kind of push boundaries on how much rear grip you can afford yourself. As long as I'm kind of angled towards the wall but not going to hit it, that's nice. And that's also the other reason that we late apex, because if we early apex, we were like one lane up by now, then we wouldn't nearly have the run on exit than we do if we late apex and keep the car low late. And then we straighten out the cart and back to the start finish line. All right, now let's go look at long run. All right, now we're doing long run here. With this car, the oval refresh, I haven't feel do a crap ton to these short tracks. Seems like the only major thing is the line kind of changes. It goes from being a really bottom line, like down here, where you just get to the yellow and wrap it and do that sort of thing. It seems like as the track heats up, people just kind of freight train this line right here, the second line. And that late apex that I showed in qualifying probably is still going to be good, because I can't foresee the right front tire being that bad. So you want to make sure that you get those straight exits. The thing about ARCA short tracks is it's always a rear tire manager, meaning that as long as you're not like absolutely dive bombing each corner and being kind of an idiot, the only thing you have to worry about is not kicking out your rear tires on exit. And really that all you need to do is consider how much throttle you're putting in while your steering wheel is still turning. You can see that I'm not starting to put the throttle down until I'm starting to unturn the wheel. And then that goes for each corner. It goes for every line that I'm doing. The number one mistake people make at these ARCA short tracks, and I'll show it next corner just to be a demonstration. The number one mistake that people make is they'll get back to their throttle and they won't unturn the wheel. And then they have loose moments off the exit. And then they're like, man, this car is so loose on exit. But it's like, no, you just got to be a little more patient. You're not gaining any time by going full throttle that margin earlier. And guess what? Once you slide your tires once, the car will be heated up. The rear tires will be heated up to a point where each corner now feels just as bad as that previous corner. So it's all about maintaining the heat in your tires, keeping them cool by just not allowing your car to slide at any point. Outside of that, you really can just run your race and not have to worry too much, because the rear tires are going to feel a lot worse than the fronts. And even if you did have a front advantage over somebody, these races end up being single groove enough to where you only pass people when they make mistakes because of their rear tires. The little imbalances in people's front tires tend to just allow them to catch up to each other, but it's very hard to get around without another mistake. We'll go check tires real quick. I know we didn't do too many laps there, but it was a good gauge to see what tire it's landing on. As you can see, 99.99, so as even as you can get through that many laps. Just make sure that you just keep that rear tire grounded. That's really the only thing you need to worry about. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. I hope to see you all on the track.